Yar Harvey mateys, and welcome to On the Rock podcast, where we have some people from another crew of similar nature of Geeks Under Grace. It's National Talk Like a Pirate Day. I had to. Anyway, welcome to On the Rock podcast. So today, as I just said in pirate speak, not all of you speak that. We have our friends from Geeks Under Grace, another Christian, geeky ministry. So I guess we have our guests, JoeKnowsGames and Cody Armour.
Hey,
along with
Ahoy!
Ahoy! I'm not Godzooks this time.
It's National Talk Like a Pirate Day, dude.
This is true. What has
And of
8
course
eyes, 8 legs, and 8 arms?
Do I want to know?
8 pirates.
Okay.
And that's the humor I'll be running with all night.
Even though Fab didn't introduce me, you guys should know who I am. If you don't,
I was going
just
to,
leave.
but he was telling jokes. Anyway.
If you can call him jokes.
Oh.
Shots fired. All right. Well, anyway, I guess I'll open us up in prayer, and then we can get started here. Heavenly Father, I thank you that we're able to come together like this and do shows like this where we can talk about our hobbies and that, and just do it for the glory of you, God, and that we can have build some bridges between Geeks Under Grace and Solid Rock Gamers, and that you would just bless this podcast. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
All right. So, for rock slides for today, starting off, we have Avatar: The Last Airbender. they're making a live-action Netflix series out of it, made by the original creators of the show. And
That's the one up.
Yeah, that gives me hope.
That's the sliver of hope that I got.
It's like live-action Avatar series. Oh no! And then they say made by the original creators. Like,
okay.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I've never seen Netflix use special effects in a way that gives me courage for the show. Courage isn't the right word, but Netflix has done great stuff, but the special effects have not always been there.
Yeah. And then you can also go check out The Dragon Prince, a show made by the writer of Avatar: The Last Airbender. I've watched all the first season. It's amazing.
Well.
Go watch it.
Okay. Well, if you guys want to watch shows, you can. But some actual gaming news, which is interesting, is that the PlayStation Classic Edition has been announced. And if you don't know what that is, it's pretty much going to be based off the original PlayStation. And it's going to be priced at about $100. And it comes preloaded with 20 different games. And it includes fan favorites such as Final Fantasy VII. So what do you guys think about
that? Sony has once again successfully stole Nintendo's idea.
They've also enraged
successfully.
I was going to say they've enraged a fan base with this. It seems like a lot of people are not happy with this idea. I think the price point's what's irking people. But
yeah,
my thing with this is with Sony. I think these ground up remakes have been amazing, but if you go back to like PS1 era, the 3D, the beginning of the 3D era has not like held up over the years. So I'm like, when you go back to those games, I mean, I even went to PS2 era. I went and played Jak 2, and like graphically, it's just not as cool as going back to like Super Nintendo and playing Super Mario Bros.
I can agree with that. It's hard to look into some N64 games.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, speaking of Nintendo, Nintendo Direct has revealed Luigi's Mansion 3, a new Animal Crossing game, and as well as the fact that Isabelle from Animal Crossing New Leaf has been announced as a Smash Bros. Fighter.
I just got a question.
Yeah.
I've played Animal Crossing, and I just don't see the big reason why people love it so much.
I'm with you.
You're done.
I just play a few times. This is kind of boring. I just get hit by a car. I just try to get past a car. It's like Frogger, but worse.
I don't know. Okay, I enjoy talking to random and non-existent neighbors. Blue Bear is my best friend. Okay, you can't tell me otherwise.
Blue Bear's the name of the puppet that we have for VBS at church. That's to me. I've tried to get into those games over the years, and it feels very Tamagotchi Town.
But Tamagotchis are awesome, so I don't see your point.
Yeah. See, that's the thing. Some people consider that a bad thing. Some people would be like, yes.
I've never played one. I should probably throw that out there. I sound like a fan, but I play Harvest Moon and Stardew Valley, and I'm told because I love those games so much, I would love this one as well.
You definitely love Animal Crossing if you like those.
I'll get into it 2019.
Yep. Have to get it, man.
Well, okay. Moving on from crossing over from Animal Crossing to an actual good game.
That was a terrible.
That was wonderful.
That was horrible.
Rockstar.
That was a burn and a terrible pun.
Rockstar they've announced that there's going to be an online mode for Red Dead.
It's not correction.
Well,
it's Red Dead Online.
Well, okay, but it's very.
It's like GTA Online and GTA 5.
Why do they just put them together? I just don't understand why they just don't put them together. Just combine them.
Yeah, I don't know why they don't do that either, but hey, they're probably know what they're doing.
You gotta be able to machine in Grand Theft Auto 5. Go back to Red Dead Redemption.
Somebody's gonna make they're gonna hack it into a crossover on PC within 6 months anyway.
As long as there's a DeLorean involved, I'm sold.
DeLorean and actually that could work. Nintendo Online launched yesterday along with the new 6.0 update to mixed feelings.
I've not even
The
turned my
keyboard
Switch
change.
on since then.
Neither have I, but that's because I've been at school.
It's the idea, like, I don't know. I think $20 a month isn't, or a year. I'm sorry. Wait, what?
I was thinking about the PS4 6.0 thing. My mind was somewhere else. Anyways, go ahead on the
Yeah,
online.
Nintendo, right? That's what we're talking
No,
about.
it's Switch 6.0. Is
Yeah.
it?
Okay.
Yeah.
So $20 a year doesn't seem unreasonable to me to get that online, but they've already proven that you don't need. I mean, they're transitioning into this, and they did it without having any sort of like blowout game to kind of help cater the service in. So, like, Xbox Live had Halo 2. I don't know.
I think
I think
came out
they
with Smash
handled it
Bros.
poorly.
It would have done way better. I mean, not that it's going to
Yeah.
be poorly, but I think people would have been happier about it or more okay with it.
Yeah, they could have handled it better, I think, but oh well.
Yeah, Xbox does the same thing, and it is $60 a year, but they also have voice chat built into their infrastructure.
Well, they
Yeah.
also
Oh, that's true.
give
Actually,
free games away every few weeks as
That
well.
aren't 30 years old.
Fun fact: they have apparently apparently the entire Switch's like firmware. It's only like 200 kilobytes. It's not even a megabyte. I have no idea how they managed that, but apparently that's the case. So that's
So
the reason
Nintendo
why it's so
does.
tiny.
You got the best compression in the
Oh
world.
yeah,
Dude,
They
their
are,
first
like-
party stuff is tiny compared to everything else.
yeah, it is, and it's not just because of the graphics either. It's just in general they manage to just I don't know.
Yeah. They've got
Anyway,
wizards.
So,
This
other
is-
news, which I don't really know if you would be hugely interested in, but some people can be. Hope. Black Panther director is producing a new Space Jam.
I
That's what-
personally super stoked.
New Space Jam.
Space Jam
Starring
is one of my favorite
LeBron
movies.
James. I mean, having a basketball player in the game is it a game or is it a movie? It's a movie.
It's
Yeah,
a
It's a
movie.
movie.
yeah.
You have wait. You know what Space Jam is?
No, I have no idea what Space Jam is.
Oh my goodness! You gotta go watch Space Jam.
What the heck is wrong with you, man?
So Space Jam is the weirdest concept. I don't know where they came up with it, but Michael Jordan. You know who Michael Jordan is?
Yes, I know Michael Jordan.
Okay, cool. I was like, I don't know. I don't know how old I am. But they took Michael Jordan and they're like, hey, let's make a Looney Tunes movie with you. And so he gets sucked in a hole at a golf course after he's retired. And the Looney Tunes are like, hey, we need to play basketball because a bunch of aliens have like bet us that we'd beat them. And he plays basketball with a bunch of Looney Tunes. It's amazing.
And
Yeah.
against the Monstars. Yeah, so
stars.
like
Oh.
that movie came out. I've got to be the oldest person in here, right? I'm 33.
I would, yeah.
You're older than me.
If you're older than
Twice
him, then
As
yeah,
older than me.
Okay.
Yes,
I-
yeah, you are.
The
You're
original
like
Space
20.
Jam came out when I was in first or second grade. So, I mean, it's been a long time coming.
It did.
Um,
Man, I remember watching that movie when I was younger. I don't know. Although
Yeah,
I
my
watched it
my
every
older
year.
sister is 18 years older than me, so I grew up with a lot of old stuff.
That's the reason I'm like so versed in video games because I got all the handy downs.
Mm. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. Another little thing. Final Fantasy 7, 9, 10, 10-2 remastered, 12, 15 Pocket Edition HD, The Crystal Chronicles, and The World of Final Fantasy Maxima are coming to Nintendo Switch.
So why buy a PlayStation Classic?
Yeah, exactly. Like I don't know if they have Rollaway on there, I might consider it.
what is Rollaway?
Does anybody remember Rollaway?
I don't
It
know.
was this stupid. It was a game. It was like this really
Selling it
obscure
already.
old game made by a bunch of Swedish dudes for the PlayStation 1, and it was you played as a beach ball that and you tried to navigate these courses by like it's sort of like Super Monkey Ball, I guess, in a way.
Okay.
You
Okay.
ball and you try to avoid getting popped.
Okay. Yeah, I've never heard of that. And one of the 5 that they announced for that classic, the Jumping Flash, I've had a PlayStation 1 since they came, like since about the time they came out, and I've never heard of Jumping Flash.
There's a lot of games for PlayStation 1 that nobody's ever heard of.
Hmm.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, that
would conclude
Yeah.
Rock Slide for you
yeah,
guys.
it does.
Hope you guys enjoy this segment. Remember, every week, come on, enjoy these little quick topics, even though some of them aren't interesting all the time. But we try to make them as interesting as possible. So, Fab, you want to start off this next bit here of what we're doing?
Yeah. So essentially, we want to know what you guys think about. So essentially, I guess just to start off, how do you think our faith and our gaming can work hand in hand?
I'll give you a personal experience. So, my preacher is a geek. Thankfully, he got his undergraduate degree in art, and he did like his senior project is a comic panel of the story of Ehud from Judges, and it's one of the coolest.
Great.
It looks like an Assassin's Creed comic. It's super cool.
Oh, that's awesome.
But he's all for like nerd culture, gaming, comics, all that sort of stuff, and so he knows that I'm associated with Geeks Under Grace. And every time we get somebody new in the community, like comes to church, he finds out that they like video games or movies or whatever. He sends them to me because he knows that I've got connections and I can totally geek out with them and get them with a group that can geek out. It's helped us draw a lot of people into our church community and kind of make that connection. And I think Cody's new to town where I'm at, but I think he can probably see some of that happening with that group.
Definitely. That's cool.
So,
yeah.
I always, when this question gets brought up, I always look at Paul and the way that he dealt with pop culture. And I love a lot of the question I always get from people who are skeptical. They'll go, do you think Jesus would be watching those kind of movies or playing those video games? And I'm like, Jesus probably wouldn't, because he was more of the party guy. Like, he was really into like the hangout scene. He was way more social. But you look at, and the way that he preached was always through storytelling of his own. Where I think Paul would be the one playing the video games and watching movies, and then be able to say, hey, look at this. You watch this movie, you played this video game, that story. This is how it relates to Jesus. This is how it relates to the Bible, to God, and your place in God's story. And so I've always liked that question of like, that's what Paul did. If you look at he talks about sports, I think it's in Corinthians or Colossians.
running the race.
Yeah, running the race. He talks about boxing, and like, it's not just little references. He knows about those sports, and he obviously is paying attention to those things. And so he utilizes that to teach. I don't think just the people around him, but probably also himself. I think that he looks at that and he is able to see God shine through it. And I think if you can do that with the art we're given, then that is where you can find your faith going hand in hand with culture.
Yeah. I definitely, I know what you mean. Cause I know Paul talks a lot about like, how it's good for like a preacher, a pastor, somebody to have sort of a, I guess, vocation in a way, like something like, he would like, I guess, ways that you can relate to other people. And for him, I think I believe he sold tents, I think it was. Yeah. If I'm not wrong.
Yep.
Yeah. And I think for a lot of people, I think the thing is that, pardon me for the sound of my dog chasing a small bale around in the background. But I think the thing is that when it comes to gaming and this sort of thing, is that in my experience, geeks are really people who need Jesus like a lot. Like there's a lot of other crowds that people try to minister to, and I feel like it falls upon deaf ears. But in my experience, just sort of the nerd culture in that, it's and more and more like I see people on Twitter and everything, and it's always people who are like really into that. I feel like need the most help from us as Christians, and I think it's sad that there is sort of this stigma, I guess you'd call it, around our hobby, and that it's something of the devil, right?
I have seen like Dungeons and Dragons. That's something I know a lot of people in our community are into. I have had preachers. Yeah, there you go. My player's handbook is in the kitchen, but I don't have a group to play with. But that's something that I've had preachers tell me, like that's demon games. Like you can't be playing that. Like before years ago, I was Diablo 2 was my jam when I was in high school, and my dad was like, the box in that looks pretty demonic. You probably shouldn't be playing that. And I said, look, Dad, I'm killing the devil. That's the whole point of the game. But one of the things that I think that geek ministries need to be mindful of is that, on top of the fact that churches kind of tend to ostracize, geeks are very plugged in, and we know what's being said in the world. And you jump on Twitter and there's a cacophony of opinions and things, and we tend to lose ourselves in that, and then we don't always go back to the well to fill ourselves up and replace that with Jesus.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of members of our communities, not necessarily our communities, but the geek community in general, tends to disconnect from the physical world a lot, and we need to get in there and patch those relationships.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And I think the trick is that you need to make sure that you're focusing more on, like, you need to make sure that it's not a master of you, right? That you
Absolutely.
can just turn it off if you need, like, if it's like how to put it. It's like you don't it's not like it's necessarily, I guess, when it gets to the point that you realize it is bad for you and you are obsessed with it to the point that you are neglecting, everything else, and like your Jesus, your family. I think like when it comes to that point, you need to stop and say, okay, this is something that I need to step away from it. Like, if not indefinitely, like just for a period of time.
Yeah, I think it's a dangerous thing that a lot of, not a lot, but a few of Christian geeks that I have talked to will say is that they will argue against video games or pop culture in general as being escapism. And they go, because there's a lot of Christians out there who will assume that escapism is evil, even though they watch football or work on their car for hours. They'll say it's escapism and you shouldn't be doing that. You should be grounded in reality. And so I think the easy thing for a Christian to do, a geek to do, is say, well, it's not escapism, but it is. And I think we need to accept that it's escapism, and then accept that escapism isn't a bad thing. As long as you're able to utilize that escapism and bring something out of it.
Yeah. Because it's about making sure that the escapism, because like I think it's okay to like escape every once in a while, but I think the important thing is that you're realizing that when you escape, you can't completely neglect. You can't escape so much that you're just living in only that world.
Right. And once you admit that it is escapism, I think it's a lot easier to do. Say that this is escapism. This can't run my life. This is not my life. That I am running to something else to kind of get away from reality for a minute, and say, why am I doing that? Because if it is a deep-seated issue, and that's the reason that you're getting into something, that a video game is not going to help you with that. Say it's like depression, and you're getting into games to like make friends that are fictional. Like that's not going to fix your real-world problems. I think it's a really dangerous thing that we do, that we say that it's not escapism. Because of like what you're saying, it can consume you if you decide that that's real life, that's where you live, that's your domain, and it's not a place that you go visit.
Yeah,
for sure.
Any thoughts, Stone? Or
I'm just like thinking about the thought here that what about when it comes to games in general? When it comes to the more, you could say, violent scenes, especially with the scenes lately that gaming has been recently been linked with violence, in the sense that gaming has an influence on violence. What do you guys think about that in general?
This is an argument that's been happening since I was a kid with Mortal Kombat. I think there's something to be said. I think that it would be foolish to completely write it off. But when Mortal Kombat hit theaters, violence in large cities dropped precipitously. I think letting yourself get wrapped up in it, becoming desensitized to that sort of stuff is a dangerous thing to play. But as far as violent video games contributing to issues, I think this has been the back and forth that people have been having for the last few years. Is it the violent video games? Is it a lot of these people struggle with mental health issues? I'm sure that the games contribute in some factor, but I tend to think that if we stepped in the gap and gave that person human interaction, if we were family and friends to those people, they wouldn't take that next step that leads to something drastic like that.
Yeah.
I know, like, if I'm poning Joe in an FPS, which doesn't actually happen, completely hypothetical. If I'm in an FPS and I'm shooting Joe, no matter how realistic it is, I don't want Joe dead. I don't actually want to shoot Joe. And I think it is more than pixels on a screen. But it's kind of like paintball. Like it's completely recreational. You're not actually causing harm to the person.
On paintball, technically, you are causing harm to the person.
A little bit, yeah.
The suckers hurt sometimes, man.
A little bit, yeah.
Well, yeah.
But it's not to cause like real violence to someone, to cause harm. I don't want to like hurt Joe in a long run in any way. I think that if there was more to that, I think that there would be friendships ruined over more than like Mario Party. It would be like, I think it would be if it causes violence, then it would be friends first, which is sad, but that's who we're attacking usually in most cases.
Yeah, I think as far as violence related to video games goes, actually, I did do a report on this when I was younger, about when back was like grade 8. I did an essay sort of report on this, and
that's super cool.
I think homeschooling benefits, man. I don't homeschool anymore, but that's beside the point. But the thing is that I actually in my research and findings, I did find that video games, while they didn't like you said before with Mortal Kombat, it actually consistently there was a what's the word? I guess a link between games coming out and violence actually dropping.
Yeah.
Because it'd be like a game would come out and then violent crimes would drop, as a noticeable amount by not like a huge amount, but it was noticeable, and for like a week, and then they'd pop back up again, which I thought was interesting. Not
to hit it over and over again, but because of escapism, you can say, instead of actually beating someone up, there's definitely a release of aggression. That's a healthy release of aggression, and not literally going out and being double dragon on people.
Yeah.
Don't go double dragon on people, kids.
Yeah. Moral of the story.
I'm gonna go Bimmy and Jimmy on you.
Yeah, but I think it's the fact that I think that usually it's like a cause and effect thing, right? You what came first, the chicken or the egg? And I think a lot of people they see, one of that person who shot up a school or something, that they were a nerd, they played video games. That's probably why. And I think, to me, that just seems like a huge blame finger that is just it just seems quite frankly immature.
And it seems like kind of a red herring, because they can look at that and say, well, this person played video games. Video games are prolific today. I mean, it's not uncommon for anybody to have a video game console in their house.
I think
it's
over 70% or something like that.
Yeah, over 70% of American households have a game console. So it's
And the average gamer is Joe's age.
We've been around.
Yes.
Yeah.
Me and Stone's generation is rising up, my friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was also wondering what you guys think about the fact, like, how, like, let's say, remember how it is in the Bible where it says, "What you let through your eye can affect how you are and how you perceive the world." Do you think that letting yourself watch certain type of games or play certain type of games will affect your perception or affect on how you act in the world according to a Christian and Christ-like manner?
I certainly think it can. Absolutely. I'll give an example that I had when I was younger. When I was in high school, a buddy of mine let me borrow Doom 3. And I've played all the Dooms except 3. And I don't have a better way to describe this, but Doom 3 was trying to be very dark and edgy. And we got in there, I installed it, played about 10 minutes, and literally felt like it was demonic. I don't have a better way to put it, and I've never said that about anything else. But I immediately turned it off, deleted the game, handed it back to him. Because I felt like if I internalized that for 10 hours, absolutely that's going to affect me in my day life, like, and how I deal with other people. And my thought processes and everything.
I had a
The
similar
ministries that we have are so important. Oh, go ahead.
I had a similar experience with Borderlands 2, where like my friend convinced me to buy it when it was on sale on Steam, and I was sort of iffy about it, and then I got it and I started playing it. I played through like maybe the first little bit with him, and then he left and I had played for like a little bit more, and I just sort of got to the point that I was like me as a person, I don't feel like, I guess there's a lot of humorous quotes and things that I feel like would rub off on me in that game, and I feel like it was sort of a bit of a, sort of a little god tap, like maybe you should play that.
Yeah, I mean, we take stuff in. Once you take things in through these eyes, you can't just pass it through. It will affect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of what we have to do is know. The chat has mentioned it, discernment. Like you have to know how to handle that and how to handle that in your faith.
Yeah, you also you definitely need to be self-aware of what you struggle with. Because if you struggle with something specifically and you do, then that is specifically going to show up in what you're watching or playing. If you have a pornography addiction and you watch Game of Thrones, like it's going to, in some cases, like completely trigger you to go back later on and rewatch that scene or rewatch something else. And I think that's kind of an extreme. But with anything, like if you have something that you struggle with that's sin in your life, and then you play that out in a video game, that's going to come back to you. That's going to come. I don't think that there's enough release there that it's going to be enough. I think you're going to go out and do whatever it is. I think that's why our ministries are so important. Is just because that's not something being preached. A lot of people say, stay away from everything. And that's not a healthy way to do it either, because then when it does hit you, which inevitably it's going to, you're not going to know what to do with that. And I think that's a really important thing that people aren't teaching right now in the church.
Yeah, I think I've heard the whole, avoid everything argument. I feel like it's not that great of an argument. It is dangerous. Like, I mean, I say it's not that great, but quite frankly, it is dangerous because I know I used to, I was at camp one year, and the preacher was talking about how he had this dream where it was Christians, and I mean, there were all these people who were like crawling through these tunnels, and they were terrified of all of these things on the outside of these tunnels, and he was freaking out in the dream. He was trying to figure out what was going on, and then he looked and you realized that it was Christians running around in these tunnels, and they were just afraid of everything around them.
I think you just made a Bible study for Gurren Lagann.
Challenge accepted.
I'm like hearing that. I'm like, boom.
Hey, oh man,
that's awesome.
I want Bible studies based on anime. You guys do that? Is that a thing you do?
So we do, not on anime specifically, but we do for popular movies as they come out in theaters. You can get a Bible study. It's built for small groups of 4 to 12 people, I believe is what we say. And then you could also do those one by yourself if you wanted to. I think it's definitely more useful when you do it as a group.
You got one on Infinity War?
Almost definitely. We better.
You say that, I gotta go look now.
Yeah, I'm like, we better.
Yeah.
Joe will do some research, do some field study there. I'm sure we do.
Yeah. Well, I guess bouncing off of that, so so I guess you want to tell our SRG audience what exactly is Geeks Under Grace?
Sure. So Geeks Under Grace is a ministry that started. We've had our 4-year anniversary now. We started as cross-console gamers, so we just did game reviews. And when we got started, all we were doing was doing game reviews, but we had content guides. That was kind of the basic idea. And then Drew Kaler, our founder, several years ago said, "Hey, what if we branch out and do, movies, anime, other stuff?" And then we've brought on now we'd have collectibles and book section and music. So we cover pretty much any kind of pop culture is kind of what we're going for.
We do have Infinity War, just throwing that out there since I saw it. It's geeksundergrace.com/Bible study to get those.
Yeah.
Not to plug, but
yeah.
If my youth group wasn't, it didn't consist of mostly non-gaming people, I would totally try and twist my pastor's arm.
Yeah. So we started off. The primary reason we started was we have a Christian living section that does Christian focused articles, but then all the reviews that we do have content guides in them so that families or discerning Christians can come look and say, okay, Witcher 3, that's got pornographic content, and I need to avoid this.
I appreciate that. I appreciate it when you guys do that, because I for sure use those all the time. And I love it that you guys do that, because there's
awesome.
So many games that I have, like Witcher 3, actually, that's an example. I was trying to figure out whether or not I wanted to play Witcher 3, and I looked at your Witcher 3 thing, and I was like, yeah, maybe I won't.
I'm glad to hear that's useful for people, because we've been doing this forever, and we get feedback on it on occasion, but really it's not that common. But I feel like it's a worthy thing for us to do, But then we've branched out. We've got the Twitch team now, and we're live every single day with that. We have the podcast now that we do one every week.
Every Wednesday on any major platform.
Yeah, we're trying to branch out to do conventions and things so that we've got a presence there as well. And so, I mean, we're trying to have our hands all over the place.
No, that's awesome.
But we don't do a lot of what you guys do. So
that is online.
Yeah,
I guess twitchy. We're a bit. We have some twitches.
Huh? Yeah.
Huh?
No,
Okay.
Don't do that again, please.
Hey, I was trying to fit in with the sense of humor.
You made my transition look like amazing.
I guess you could say it's my mission to transition
stop,
to this.
Please, you're killing my.
So what is your mission? I guess, you guys, know.
So our mission, I've always said our mission is twofold. It's to disciple Christians through pop culture, and to let geeks know that they deserve Christ just as much as anyone else. And
we have an official mission statement.
Yeah,
but I'm digging it up right now.
That's my
okay.
elevator pitch.
Yeah, the 4 E's. Educate Christians on how to safely consume pop culture from our worldview. Evangelize geeks with the message of the gospel by building bridges between Jesus and the geek community. Equip Christians and churches to reach geeks with the gospel, and encourage Christians as they grow deeper in their relationship with Christ.
Hey, no tune on the ukulele. Sorry. That's awesome. I really like that. I feel like that's important. I'll make sure I tell my nerdy friends about you guys.
Okay, cool.
Well, they said nerdy.
Yeah. So like, I guess, how do you think you guys are impacting the kingdom? I mean, like, I guess branching off from your mission, do you feel like you guys are, I guess, I don't know how to put that.
So,
I guess, yeah.
How you guys? Yeah. You go.
I've made a video actually for Geek Devotions, who's in the comment section on Twitch, and it was on your calling, and I think people really overcomplicate their callings, because if you bring it down to bare bones, it's 3 things: love your God with all your heart and all your soul, love your neighbors as you love yourself. You've heard these before, and then the Great Commission, to go out and spread the gospel to all nations. And so I think that at its core, that's what Geeks Under Grace tries to do. We're trying to love God as much as possible, glorify him with everything that we have, to love our neighbors, love the geek community. And I think that is probably my favorite part is going out to the geek community and the people who aren't Christians, and letting them know they deserve Christ just as much as anyone else, and then to disciple Christians, disciple geek culture, because it is you kind of touched on this earlier, but it's a culture that definitely needs Jesus. But it's also like it's so cool to me. It's so fortunate to me. The Bible says go out to all nations, and like I don't really have to go that far. Like the internet has made the world so much smaller. There's people that need Jesus in my own community, and so there's so many Christians now that we can kind of just go into our own communities and find lots of people that need God. So I think that's kind of Geeks Under Grace's role. I think that's how it's advancing the kingdom, is by doing those 3 things. Yeah. Joe, I don't know if you have add more to that.
Yeah, I think as of right now, looking at it from my perspective, I think we tend to be better at encouraging Christian geeks as they are, and we still have work to do to get to the evangelism point. But that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get to that point.
It's like what we're most excited about right now, I feel like.
Yeah. I think that's a very important thing that needs to happen, and I think, you were saying with calling and that, I think that I know me personally, I've definitely felt it very much a calling to that, and I feel like we're hitting a point in time that I think God's got something planned for what we're trying to accomplish here.
Yeah.
I think things are gonna start to pick up, and I think we're really gonna see. I mean, like I guess whether or not you consider my dreams as a reliable source, but I know a couple months ago I've definitely had a dream that we had I was at a big convention, and I was sitting there. I mean, there's this big convention is talking about Jesus and video games and cosplay and all that, and then I looked down, and we had a app for SRG, and there was all sorts of different people from different communities, and I've sort of kept it. I guess I've really only communicated it to my the staff at SRG, but I think that's something that's definitely going to happen in the future, and I'm very much looking forward to that.
I'm debating whether or not to say this, but I'm going to go ahead and say it anyway. Since I've become president with Geeks Under Grace, I have had the constant prayer that what we're doing is from God. And if it's not, then we don't need to be doing it anymore. We need to shatter and fall apart so that we can get out of the way and let the message move forward. So I feel like everything that we've done so far, I feel like I've seen reinforcement that we are going the right direction with what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely.
So
Yeah.
So if we close our doors, then I guess God answers my prayer the other way. But
yeah, I mean, if it wasn't of God, then God shut it down. I feel like there's definitely like within the last year and a half, probably, like the beginnings of a revival. I don't like using that word very often because revival is really cliche in the Christian world. And I don't even know if we can call it a revival in the geek community, because that insinuates that there was a Christian grounding in the geek community to begin with, and there really wasn't. But there's this awakening that's kind of happening right now. Over the last like year and a half, I feel like. And Geeks Under Grace has been around longer than that. I don't think that when we started out there was much of a revival there, but there's definitely this movement in the geek community, and it's one that what I've noticed in the geek community when you look at Christians that are there, I think beforehand it was a very defensive Christianity. It was a very guarded Christianity that's been in the culture. One kind of worry to be attacked, and then very aggressive when attacked. And now I'm seeing a Christianity that is more loving and compassionate for the people who may not agree with us. And I'm so excited for that, because I don't know, that's just the Christianity that I kind of subscribe to, is this compassionate, loving, let's go out and let's, help our neighbors and love on them and show them what God has done in our life, instead of condemning them and telling them what they're doing wrong, but saying this is the right way, and not saying this is the wrong way, but saying this is what has happened in my life, and this is what the experiences that I've seen, and it's been amazing, and you should just try it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've definitely felt that as well. I feel like I've really in the past couple months, and it's why I really decided to take up a more, I guess, active role in SRG. Is I do really feel like I've felt sort of this feeling like, I guess it's time. I think it's really about time that we as Christians stopped, living underground. To use Gurren Lagann as an example, we stopped living underground and we started.
May your drills pierce the heavens.
Yes, may your drills pierce the heavens, my friend. But yes, that's.
Well, I completely cut you. What were you saying?
Well, yeah, that was my example. I mean, like, I feel like we've been living underground in our little, underground communities, and I think it's about time that we like find our mechs. So they're metaphorical mechs. You can quote me on that.
Or
I
literal.
like that.
I'm down with literal.
Hey, if I get a mech with a giant SRG logo on the front, like I can use like a cross as like a weapon or something, I'd be down.
See, this is what we're doing wrong. People are like asking their congregations for jets. We should be asking their congregations for mechs.
Oh yeah, come on. All right, that's the new thing, guys. SRG and Geeks Under Grace community. If you want to we'll
please donate to our mech suits.
GoFundMe page coming soon, where we'll be suiting up and heading out soon enough. But yeah,
that's awesome.
I mean, I think that is the case. I think we really do need to
branch out,
crawl out.
Yeah.
You would do what God's called us to do, right?
Man, there's a really good Bible study there. I'm like, creator of mind going.
Yeah, you can cite me on that. Don't cite me on that. I was being sarcastic, but
Oh, that's real good.
yeah. Well, I guess unless you guys have any other random topics to talk about, is
Go
that
for
a
it.
well? I guess now we got some questions in chat. If you guys wanted to ask, us or the Geeks Under Grace guys about what stuff, and
Yeah.
so
Any questions at all? I guess while they're doing that, just so people like they know that we're from Geeks Under Grace, but if it's okay with you, kind of explain like what our roles are. Be good for the while we wait.
go ahead.
So, Joe, if you want to go ahead and start, you mentioned
so-
kind of briefly.
The quick headliner on my emails that I send out is president, PR manager, and reviewer, and podcaster. I mean, I kind of wear so many hats. It's
Mhm.
I do. I'm the president, and I do write
We are an
reviews
official
all the time.
501c3
We are
nonprofit.
an official nonprofit. Yeah.
So he's not
Mhm.
just president of like a makeup club. It's like he's the actual president of the official board.
Yeah.
Nice.
I write reviews. I think I write 2 or 3 a month on a good month when I'm not dealing with everything else. We podcast weekly.
Mhm.
I do the thing that I have started doing most recently that I'm most excited about is every Sunday and Wednesday night I do a pray and play stream. And sometimes we'll only get 1 or 2 people in there, sometimes nobody. Sometimes we got 5 or 10. The whole purpose of the stream, like I'll play a game while I stream, but the whole purpose is so that people can bring prayer requests or praises, and I'll pray for that while I'm streaming.
It's awesome.
So that's by and large most of my roles, I think.
Yeah, and then I don't know my official title anymore. I'm an advisement to the board. They care what I say, it seems, which is nice. And then I'm a host for the podcast, and a lot of the promotional work that you see, not all of it. I'm especially like graphically and stuff. I'm usually working on those, being a part of that. Haven't made a video in a long time. Been shut down for the last like couple months, so I'm ready to start making some videos again.
What do you like making videos on exactly?
So I recently moved. I did have this whole news show that I was doing weekly, but usually when it comes to Geeks Under Grace's stuff, and that was like news relative to Christianity. Geeks Under Grace is usually promotional videos, so I'm working on stuff for our Patreon. Again, haven't done that in a while. Or video saying, like we went to this con and this is what happened at the con. So yeah, we're going to be seeing a lot more of that, I think, soon. We're going to go into a lot more cons now that I am moved. That's the kind of stuff I love doing. Artistically, I really like making videos where I can use a lot of B-roll and kind of tell a story about what the ministry is actually doing.
Apparently, we now have a Geeks Under Grace command. If I'm not,
That's
nice.
Yep, we now have a command in
Hey.
our Discord that links
Nice.
to you guys. So if you want to know more, if you just want the links to Geeks Under Grace, to !GUG.
Also, I do got another good question from chat. Like, how do you keep the momentum and your confidence up while streaming your prayer and plays from just general? Like, this is coming from Geek Devotions, so.
Okay, so with myself, really, for as long as I've been streaming, I've tried to always, one of the things I've always learned is talk. Like, if you are going to internalize something while you're playing the game, externalize it. I need to go over there and pick that thing up. I'm going to go do this thing, do that. So I'll still talk the whole time that I'm streaming. But if there's chat, I would much rather focus on chat and what chat's saying. And so if chat's talking, I focus on them. If they have a prayer request or something, like I play music, I'll play the game. I will pause the music, pause the game, and pray right there after I make sure I get the details for the prayer requests up. I keep a list. I keep a pad of paper right beside my desk And the whole time that I'm doing the pray and plays, when I get a prayer request, I write it down. That way I can come back to it later in the week and continue praying for that as well. But yeah, like as far as confidence goes, just that's going to come with time as you do it more. But keep talking, get used to hearing your own voice, and don't shut up. I mean, you're the only one on camera, really, when you're doing a stream like that. So
that's awesome.
It's something really random that I heard someone else say that I think is super helpful in a weird way. Listen to a podcast or listen to a radio host, and then only listen to the main host of that show and respond to it at home while you're alone. There's no one around. And that'll help you just in general with not only Twitch streaming, but it's good for improv in general. But if you're good at that, then you're gonna be good at responding to things in chat as well.
Well, what happens if I do with people around?
I mean, go for it. It might seem a little weird.
No, I already do that.
But respond to them as if you were their guest host.
I've never even tried that.
It's real weird, but it's fun.
I guess Cody's the only professional here.
No, not at all. The reason I give that example and not something more close to streaming is because Joe is a streamer here. I love streaming. I've done it a few times, but Joe is one of my favorite streamers. I'll say it on air.
Wow, boosting his ego.
Right.
His forehead should be bigger.
Yeah. Did I mention President? Oh, no, just kidding.
I need to wear a hat.
No, Joe's really great. I won't make him blush anymore on stream.
Okay.
Most of my favorite streamers have been through Geeks and Grace, not necessarily Geeks and Grace streamers, although a couple of them are, but through this like Christian streaming thing that's been going on as a movement in general.
Okay. Random funny thought. Before I actually became the Nintendo lead, I actually half considered. I saw at the time you guys had a in need of writer thing out.
Okay.
I was like this close to putting in an application for that, which is sort of funny considering you're now on my podcast. Funny how those things work out, you know?
Yeah. Hey, all things work to the good of those who love the Lord.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting myself to be here either.
72-hour stream. Boy, you guys do a 72-hour stream too?
Oh yeah. That's every year we do. It's our pledge drive. And we got really fortunate with that. Like I don't know how that idea popped into my brain. But most pledge drives are really boring and you're like, no, I turn the radio off. The pledge drive is super cool for us because it's not, even though it's a little bit like the whole idea is to raise this money for the ministry. The 72 hours don't feel like they're money grubbing. Like it's such a community event and people get to come hang out. It's so much fun and so many cool moments happen for us during those pledge drives.
That's what I was gonna say. It's really more of a time when the community, like you see people come together and just sit in the stream and chat and support one another for 3 days in a row. Like, you know,
we all sleep like 4 hours.
Yeah,
the whole 3
we
days.
take shifts and everybody kind of supports everybody else.
Yeah, we're doing a charity stream sometime. More information eventually.
Yeah. Also, a very good question from Chad. Again, keep devotions. He's just pumping them out. But so how do you manage your time working at GUG as a CEO, staffers, and combined with your personal job and your personal time? Like, how do you squeeze it all together and make it one big present? You could say.
That is the act there. I'm blessed with a good board who each of them has their own responsibilities and they're awesome about handling them. We have good editors on staff who take charge and control their own departments. And so really I'm able to delegate a lot of stuff out that I don't have to concern myself with. But I work a full-time job, 40 to 40 plus hours a week, depending on how things are going. And then when I come home, I'm doing the podcast. you can ask the podcast team. I get a little irritable sometimes on Mondays because I'm like, come on, let's go. Like, I want to have a little bit of free time today, and I'm not going to have any if we don't get the ball rolling. But there are those times for every time that I'm stressed out and there's a lot going on, there's time you got to take away and relax and recover as well.
Yeah.
And I do that as well. I got a night or two a week that I just chill.
That's
And
definitely
as a ministry,
good.
we've been super respectful of like if people need a break, like a break. Hopefully, no one hears that and they're like, "Oh, I need a break now." But no. I mean, we have 60 volunteers, over 60 volunteers, and like all of them put in so much time and effort into Geeks Under Grace, and like I've never seen so many people be so hungry for the mission. To put in the time that everyone does, completely free. Like,
Yeah. We don't have any paid positions on staff right now, so
yeah, it's been really amazing. But I think it's just healthy or not, it's fueled on passion.
Do you guys plan on being on Twitch or streaming continuously? You guys plan on moving into like a more outspoken direction, more of like a higher standing, more like office streaming, but maybe into like a more broadcasting sense or a radio sense? You guys ever plan on going that far, or do you guys always stand on playing on staying on streams?
I think we've got a dedicated stream team. I mean, everybody takes like a day a week, and we always stream during the same time slot, but everybody has their own set day, and so that team will probably keep doing what they're doing until they get tired of it. And that's another thing where we've been super blessed. Like, everybody knows they have this one day. If somebody can't make it, usually somebody else is willing to jump in and pick up the slack. And they're really great about supporting one another. They're kind of their own little community as far as the stream team goes. So I would say that'll probably keep going the way it's going. I would love to see the stream portion grow, because a lot of streams, we'll get 5 to 10 people in maybe, and I would love to see that blow up where we're getting Susie's numbers, 300-400 people on a stream.
I think everybody wants Susie's numbers.
Yeah.
Shout out to Pastor Susie.
Also, another good question. Moving away from that topic, not to like end it, but I kind of want to hear what Cody has to say about his inspiration for his Christian news show.
It was actually a school project in high school. Not a ton of people know that. And so I was
inside news.
Yeah. So in high school, I went to this really weird school. They called them passages, 6 passages. And they were like these big projects you had to do to graduate. And so one of them I did was start a YouTube channel. And I was a big fan of Philip DeFranco at the time. And so my thought was, how do I make news? How do I make Christianity relevant? Was my question. And so my answer at the time was, well, then I talk about news from a Christian perspective. And that kind of evolved into a totally different thing by the time that I ended it. It ended up being more just a Christian focused news show. Instead of, at first it was generic news. It was the big stories of the day in general. And then the Christian spin on that, where in the end it became just news that Christians care about. Because that was just easier. And I think that was also more needed for Christians. But that was it. I was trying to do a school thing, and from there, like, just went all in on it. I'm weird about. I very much go all in on stuff.
That's good to know. You're a committer and a leader.
Yeah, I definitely am. But it brought me to Geeks Under Grace, so that's awesome. So nice. I think I challenged Geeks Under Grace to the Ice Bucket Challenge, and the founder was like, "Hey, do you want to be part of Geeks Under Grace?" And I was like, "Okay."
Well,
really exciting.
I don't know if this is like a Christian thing from Geek Devotions, but he's like, how does Cody keep those guns in shape and his hair is so fresh?
What's your secret, man? Come on.
Creatine.
It really holds the hair up.
Yeah, you just put some in your hair. I've told him this. I don't know why Dallas likes my hair so much. This is Old Spice Forge.
Old
and then really
Spice.
thin hair.
Boy.
Oh, yeah, it's a putty. And then I'm just really short, so I look stronger than I am.
Wait, how short are you?
I'm 5'3", maybe
This
5'4".
man, this. Hey, troll has company down there.
Yeah, I'm 6'1", so
Oh wow.
Yeah, I'm 6'1.5" an inch ish.
I do work out.
5'11".
But Joe can attest. I'm not as like built as camera angles make me seem.
I mean, I've only seen him lift a car once. So.
Yeah.
only once.
And it was only one, so no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
good information to know. But we went a bit over time, but I think that was some good questions. I'm glad we got those ripped out. But before we end out, I kind of make an announcement personally myself to you, audience, if any actual, I think regular time people are here. That this is gonna be my last episode. Well, not next episode's my last episode, and I love to see all you guys come out there and give me a good goodbye. And if you guys are wondering why I'm leaving, it's probably because most than likely it's because of workload in my personal life, of school, athletics, and church in general. I'm getting more involved in other stuff, so I just can't commit myself time to this, and I'm not giving all my time to this anymore. And I'm also just not as passionate about games as I once was. So I don't really want to put my effort or time into something that I'm not hugely passionate about. So I decided to step away.
Respects.
Yeah, but I decided to step away and give his podcast more to Fab, and you guys will have to stick with him as long as you can.
And my new co-host.
And his new co-host. Can't believe
that's actually
why
why
the dog
in was we're replacing. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I've been making this joke for like what 4 podcasts. It's been a bit. It's ever since I got Faye, which is like 3 weeks ago.
Okay, I definitely tell the same joke over and over. It drives my wife nuts. If I find something funny, I'm like, hey, nice. I want to keep running this into the crowd.
If I had a wife, I would probably drive her nuts too.
Yeah, I don't doubt that.
I sort of got to become an adult first, but
yeah, you do, Fab.
It's on the bucket list.
An adult. I don't know, Cody. Have you become an adult yet?
Not yet. I'm still working on it.
Yeah, no one really ever feels like an adult. But
anyway,
yeah,
the first 4 years of childhood are really hard.
Good to know.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, no, Faye is she's a Havanese, Drew. But anyway, I guess, yeah. If one of you guys wants to pray us out.
Cody Armour, you good at doing that?
Yeah, sure. I figured Joe is the pray guy, but it's cool.
He prays enough already.
Yeah, there you go. God, thank you so much for bringing, for letting this type of ministry exist. That there's a place for us as Christians, that we have a people to reach out to. And I pray for those people that we're able to be some kind of light in their lives, that they are, that they see you in ways that they wouldn't from others. I want to thank you for the opportunity for these ministries to come together. I pray that continues to happen, not with just these 2 ministries, but with the many geek ministries that are sprouting out. I see a movement, God, and I pray that movement is a strong one, and that you just full force into this culture of ours. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Thanks to have you guys out.
Yeah.
Guys, have a great
catch
week.
us-
Bye.
You can catch us next week, same day, same time.